ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਕਹਾਂ ਬੁੱਧ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਤੁਛ ਹਮਾਰੀ ਬਰਨ ਸਕੈ ਮਹਿਮਾ ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਰੀ हम ना सख्त कर सिफत तुम्हारी आप लिहो तुम कथा सुधारी हम ना सख्त कर सिफत तुम्हारी आप लिहो तुम कथा सुधारी।
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा
वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।
साखी दिल्ली के पातशाह की चली दोहरा आगे साखी यो सुनो होते पठान दिली पतशाही कृपी कीनी जिम गुरु दयो मुगलन को तख्त पलटाए।
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। गुरु रूप गुरु प्यारी साध संगत जी, we are blessed to come together in the presence of Dhamma Sahib Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji and reflect upon the history of the Guru Khalsa Panth. So Bhai Rattan Singh Ji now comes to the end of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Ityas, comes to the end of his telling Captain Murray of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's history and Guru Nanak Dev Ji's coming onto this earth. So having told us about Guru Nanak Dev Ji's travels all across the world, Guru Nanak Dev Ji now comes on to tell us about Guru Nanak Dev Ji's encounters with the Lodhi king at Delhi. Hanji. So before the Mughals, the Pathans ruled and there was the Lodhi dynasty. At this time, Guru Nanak Dev Ji travels to Delhi. And the important context of this is if we go back to the earlier telling of history in Panth Prakash, where Bhai Rattan Singh Ji explains to Captain Murray that the sovereignty of the Khalsa Panth comes from Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and it is from Guru Nanak Dev Ji's blessings that many emperors and many kings come to gain their royalties and dignity. In this way now, Guru Nanak Dev Ji comes into Delhi, and their coming into Delhi also coincided with the end of the Lodhi dynasty and the beginning of the Mughal dynasty. So the Lodhi king, who had committed great atrocities upon the saints and even upon Guru Nanak Dev Ji, had spoken ill and poorly treated Guru Nanak Dev Ji. On one side where the Lodhis had behaved like this, and on the other side the Mughal Emperor Babur had taken the sanctuary of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Bhai Rattan Singh Ji comments that the Lodhis had essentially invoked the wrath of Guru Nanak Dev Ji and the saints, whereas Babur had taken to the feet of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and in this way the rule of Delhi changed hands from the Lodhis to the Mughals. So Lodhi Brahm Khan, who was Ibrahim Lodhi, known as the Emperor of Delhi at that time, and the final Lodhi Emperor of Delhi, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says that these events happened during his reign. Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says, "Oda bura waqt aaya si." As we say in Punjabi, sometimes when people go through a bad time, a difficult time, or when they start to unravel the events within their own life that lead towards their demise, such times had come into the life now of the Lodhi Emperor. He had called upon all the saints, the Siddhs, the Sadhs, the Faqirs, the Hindus and the Muslims, any holy men that were within his city, any holy men that were under his rule. He decided to gather all of these holy men together. And a chakki is an old stone grinder which was common in many households and still is to an extent in parts of rural Punjab and parts of rural India, and from this people would grind it to get wheat, to gain atta. And what the Lodhi Emperor did was he had all the saints grind corn he had all the saints grind wheat that would be used to provide atta, that would be used to provide flour to his armies. And essentially he put the holy men of his empire to work in hardship and in labor in this way.
दुनिया तुम झूठे लुट dikhai.
He said that you holy men are robbing the world. You're taking people's alms from them. You're pleading poverty and having people pay your way in this world. And in this way, you're falsely proclaiming to be men of God, and I will punish you for the way in which you have duped the poor people of this land.
Neh karamat gin hame dikhai.
None of you have managed to show me any type of miracle, because this was very common amongst rulers of the time. We see this amongst not just the Lodhis, but later on in the Mughal emperors, when they asked the Sikh gurus to perform miracles, and Ram Rai, one of the sons of Guru Sahib Ji, performed miracles and was subsequently outcast from Sikhi by the Guru for changing Bani. But essentially, none of these saints were able to show any miracle towards the emperor that would satisfy him that they were true saints, and in this way he punished them all in hard labour. And then the holy Muslims and the holy Hindus who both got together, because at this time we weren't seeing an oppression of just one religion over the other. What we were seeing was an attack against those people who professed to be men of God taking place. And both of these people then of both faiths came together, and in expressing the hardship and suffering that they were going through, both of these people expressed the following. That, hey Guru Nanak Dev Ji, you alone are all powerful, you alone have come into this earth as the form of God, and you alone are Jog, you alone are worthy and possess the capability and grace to liberate us from this hardship that we have been placed into by the Lodhi Emperor. The Guru Nanak Dev Ji, you alone preserve the honour of the saints. Hey Guru Nanak Dev Ji, you alone preserve the honour of these robes. So many times we hear in our das, in our jakare, bird bane ki laaj, sodhi sache padshah rakhni bird bane di laaj, where we pray to Guru Gobind Singh Ji that the laaj, the honour and the sanctity of this bana, you alone protect and preserve it and uphold this in the world. And for those of us who wear bana, this is a very important belief that we have, that wherever we go, in whichever situation or circumstance we find ourselves in, our Guru will uphold the honour of this bana so that we are able to wear it with dignity. And in this way the saint said to Guru Nanak Dev Ji that we are men of God, we wear these robes in our obedience to God, in our bonding ourselves to the Lord in the form that we have been given in this life, and you alone are able to now protect the sanctity of these holy robes. Pek meaning dress. Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says that they said to Guru Nanak Dev Ji that you alone preserve the honour of this. In Sikhi, we find that a great respect for sadhus and saints of all orders. So in many of our old Gurdwara, many of our old asthans, many of our old dairy where there is lineage of Sant Mahapurush, it would be common for holy men of very many different orders to come there, to be given food, to be given clothing, to be given langar. Firstly, Guru Nanak Dev Ji served langar to the sadhus themselves, and secondly, doesn't matter what religion these people belong to, they are living a life devoted to God who is common to all. They are living a life devoted to truth. They are living a life of service, of meditation, and people who devote their life in this manner, in a sincere way, are worthy of our respects as Gursikhs. They say to Guru Nanak Dev Ji that in an army not everyone is a great warrior, not everyone is a mighty warrior, not everyone is a surma, not everyone is a hero, such that they are the people who fight at the front, such as they are the people who fight the mighty enemies on the other side. That in an army not everyone is given the grace of being a great mighty hero. There is often only one Sher, there is often only one supreme king, there is often only one alpha, there is often only one lion who is the supreme commander, who is the bravest, who is the most powerful. And in this way they say to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, you are our lion, you are our Sher. That we are saints, yes, we are in the way that soldiers too fight in an army, but there may be few there who are surme within that army. In this way, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says, the sadhu said to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, yes, we are sadhus, but amongst us you are our Sher, you are our supreme, you are our alpha, and you are able to save us and liberate us from this difficulty we have found ourselves in. And then Satguru Ji laughed upon hearing what they had said to Guru Sahib Ji.
Tum sab karne jog.
And Guru Sahib said to them that Tum sab karne jog, that you alone are worthy, you alone are able, you alone have the power within yourselves, you alone have the blessings of God, that you are able to do this, and instead you come to me.
Humko jas tum det ho, kal ko sab pal hog.
But Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, you have honored me, you have praised me, and therefore tomorrow an act will take place and you will observe this for yourself. So again, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji gives us the lesson that when we come to the Guru, when we praise the Guru, when we place our own ego before the Guru, then the Guru blesses us. So when we find ourselves in hardship, when we find ourselves in difficulty, when we find ourselves in one form of suffering or another, we're able to come to the Guru, we're able to plead with the Guru, and we're able to pray to the Guru to support us, to uphold our honour, to uphold our dignity. And in this way the sadhs obtain the blessings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us now what happened next. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji then performed another miracle, and time and time again we use this word miracle because we have become quite distant from this concept. What's happened over the last, I would say particularly 100 years, is those of us as Gursikhs have been educated in the West. Many of us live in the West. We come through an entire understanding of the world that is based on this modernity, that is based on science. And it is not that science and religion automatically are at clash with one another in the way that they are maybe in the Western world. It is that science has a way of understanding the world in an empirical manner. And there is nothing wrong with this. However, we must acknowledge that when we speak of the divine, when we speak of the Creator, we are essentially talking about the one who is not subject to those same laws, the one who goes beyond this. So if we want to understand infinity and then say that here are a range of measures that we have, and through these range of measures we will be able to measure infinity, then the very fact that we're able to do that means that what we are measuring isn't infinite. The very fact that we think that the Creator is subject to the rules of the creation and not the one who made it, then it is not who we believe it to be, because Paramatma is infinite. We have not yet been able to even understand the depths of the universe. How then can we begin to understand the depths of the one who created the universe, who made the universe, and by some points manifest as the universe, and exist even when this universe doesn't exist anymore? So there is an aspect of our thinking as Sikhs coming from the West that we must learn serves us in some regards and doesn't serve us in other regards. And religion and spirituality, which is about the pursuit of the divine within oneself, there your scientific thinking doesn't work. There your scientific discipline doesn't lend itself to what you're trying to pursue. Their faith, devotion, and these things are the powers that will guide you and take you forward. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji did conduct and perform many miracles. In doing so, any holy people that came into this world, if we look at the life of Jesus, if we look at the life of other people, we see that it was because they conducted these miracles that many people took to them. It was a simple way of explaining a message to people. It was a way of explaining a message in such a way that the stories of these would spread. And we come across still those who are stubborn-minded and refuse to accept or acknowledge miracles, and it is not for us to say that they are not Sikhs, they are not true Sikhs, they are not true believers. It is to come then to a mutual point of understanding to say that from these stories, these sakya, there is a tat, there is an achor, there is a teaching that we can take from that we can uphold irrespective of differences in how these stories have been told over the centuries. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji blessed the sadhus, Guru Nanak Dev Ji blessed the saints, that on that day the chakki, the stone mill that they had been grinding with their own hands, with their own arms, sitting for long hours throughout the day, that those chakkis, those stone wheels began to turn by themselves on that day. And then the tokri, which is a basket, when they would carry this upon their head, this too floated slightly above their head. So essentially, what miracle was it that took place? Those sadhus who had been performing difficult, hard labour, the Guru Nanak Dev Ji eased their suffering for them, and God themselves, if we must say, or by some divine grace, took away the effort, took away the physical suffering for those people when they'd found themselves in that difficult point. And in this way, God upheld the honor of his devotees. God upheld the honor of those who wore the religious dress as part of their dedication to God. And when they endured and went through suffering, God upheld and protected their honor. And again, there is a great lesson for us within this, where we as Gursikhs, even those of us who may be considered as laymen or laywomen or sedentary or practicing Sikhi, we still have very many physical aspects, the kara, the kashera, and then our case, the journey of a Gursikh as they embrace fully the identity given to us by Guru Gobind Singh Ji. At every stage of this journey, we pray to the Guru to uphold the dignity of these things. We pray to the Guru for the strength to carry on through a journey. And we pray to the Guru for the strength, the courage, and then grace, that whatever challenges we come through as a result of upholding the identity that they have given us, that they themselves save us from such difficulties. And the Guru Sahib Ji placed a parda. The example here Guru Sahib Ji uses is for one to be derobed and one to be stripped, one to be exposed, and these people are false, these people have nothing to them. These people can be made to suffer like animals, and in such a way, what was trying to happen here? The emperor was trying in one way to break the faith of the normal citizen towards the religious beings who had been seen as holy. So as Guru Nanak Dev Ji went and conducted dialogue with many of these people, remember earlier Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us that in Kaljug, the time that we are in today, Kaljug wants people to do bad, and when they do bad, Kaljug wants them to be punished. And in a way, the emperor is doing this. He maybe saw people who were deceased. He maybe saw people in fraud. He maybe saw some holy men who had been deceiving the people and robbing them of their wealth, and then sought to punish all of them. But it is never the case that everyone is bad. It is never the case that there are no saints. It is never the case that everyone is false. Yes, they may become rare, but Guru Nanak Dev Ji did not seek to persecute them. Guru Nanak Dev Ji did not seek to punish them. Guru Nanak Dev Ji instead sought to give them the message of truth, as well as those people who had been duped, so all could take to the path of righteousness. And in this way, Guru Sahib Ji shares dharam. Guru Sahib Ji shares dharam, righteousness, through daya, through compassion. And because they had praised Guru Sahib Ji honoured them. And then what happens when we go to someone for help and that person helps us? We revere that person even more. And this is a part of many people's own personal journey in Sikhi. When they come across some form of difficulty, they go to the Guru, they feel the support of the Guru, and that the Guru has blessed them and graced them with blessings. And sometimes what we do in some situations is, sanu jehda kuch chahida si wo mil gaya, and then go back to tu kaun main kaun, who is the Guru, who am I as a Sikh. These things don't mean anything. So aapa matlabi na baniye. We shouldn't be users of such things in some ways. We should respect, we should revere. If we have got something from somewhere, if our Guru has given us something, if our elders have given us something, then we should honour that, and that should then increase our faith and our want to practice the message of truth, to live a better life. And we should not then be people who turn our backs. And in this way, those saints became great. They developed within them a great adoration for Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And the saints themselves then started to sing the praises of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us that in Delhi, Guru Nanak Dev Ji went, and there was a gardener there whose garden had become completely dry, as if some droughts had taken over his land. And he also then had an elephant, and he would use this elephant for when people would get married. They would maybe sit upon the elephant, and his elephant had died. So on one hand his bag, on one hand his garden has completely dried out, and then on the other hand his elephant has died. And what Guru Nanak Dev Ji did when they went there, Guru Nanak Dev Ji saw that this man who has already undergone such suffering, this man who has lost everything, the only means he has for his livelihood is his elephant, and whatever he goes out and earns on that day through his elephant, he then buys whatever necessities with that money and uses that to serve the saints. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji saw this man was very pious, and when Guru Nanak Dev Ji saw that this man is a servant of the saints, Guru Nanak Dev Ji blessed him that through the touch of Bhai Mardana splashing water in the eyes of this elephant came back to life. And again, if we doubt these Sakhya, it's fine. You know, Sikhi isn't something that forces a belief on one or the others. But if we look at Gurbani, we see in the Bani of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, Mirtaka Koji Valanhar, the Guru Sahib Ji is the one who is able to bestow life upon the dead. So if we doubt, then it's about, do we doubt the Guru or do we believe in the Guru? If we believe in the Guru, then these Sakhya should not surprise us. There should be no space of doubt left for us when we come across these verses. But if we do have doubt, then we need to look at how limited is our understanding. We are seeking to understand the infinite, and we can pray to Guru Sahib for guidance, but we should make sure what we are saying, we should make sure what we are believing is in line with Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And many times in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, Maharaj, the Gurus, the Bhagats, the Path, many of the writers whose Bani is in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, speak of these glorious traits of the Guru. That Guru Sahib Ji did daya. Guru Sahib Ji extended compassion upon the gardener and his elephant because they were servants of the saints. And to those of us who do seva, to those of us who serve the satsang, it is not always the case that we think, today I have gone seva, tomorrow the Guru will bless me, tomorrow I have done seva, the day after that the Guru will bless me. Blessings do not necessarily work in this way. They can be accumulative, that when some difficulty, some hardship befalls upon us, at that time when we most need it, we find ourselves receiving grace, we find ourselves receiving some benefit, we find ourselves being saved in some way via the Guru, whether directly or indirectly, because God serves those who serve his saints. These are one of the laws of the universe, that one way via which we can serve God is to serve those who live a life devoted to God. And Maharaj Ji, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, seeing that these people are servants of the saints, not only blessed them, but Guru Nanak Dev Ji stepped foot in their garden and brought their garden back to Haryaval. Suke Hare Kiye Ke Namahe. Again, verses from Gurbani say, the Guru is the one who is able to bring greenery back into barren lands, as Guru Har Sahib Ji did at Hariyan Bela. So we find all these verses in Gurbani that speak of the greatness of the Guru. The Sakhya from Guru Nanak Dev Ji's life talk about these very traits as well. But hearing these stories, hearing of Guru Nanak Dev Ji who had performed these miracles, the emperor became infuriated. This Hindu Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and remember, this is the language being used by the emperor, where at the times, and we must remember this whenever we look into literature of that time period, that Hindu refers to the native and Turk refers to the invaders. And this is the simple way of understanding the citizens at that time. We see some of this when the colonizers came in, we see some of this being extended. And then we start to see through the 1800s and the 1900s, these identities take a diversity of forms, with extreme forms of nationalism. But even if we try to define the word Hindu as one particular religion, many writers have said that this is not possible to do so, because it refers to a group of geographical people encompassing a continent, in the way we would use the word European, in the way we would use the word Asian, in the way we might use the word South American. And instead, this meaning has been lost upon us. Instead, we see the situation we are in just now, where these are being used to define extreme ideologies and invoke and provoke violence against minorities. This was never the case before. And also that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was not viewed, and the Sikh Gurus were not viewed in their own right by the Mughals as the bringers of a new faith. They were viewed as Hindus. It is Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji who said to Aurangzeb at the time of the Shahidi that I will be starting a new panth, I will be starting a new path. If we look in the writings of the other emperors, even Jahangir, who was responsible for torturing Guru Arjan Dev Ji, they refer to Guru Arjan Dev Ji in this way. But for us, we know Nanak Nirmal Panth Chalaya, then Guru Nanak Dev Ji came into this earth to start the Panth. from the writings of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, we know Karo Khalsa Panth Tisa Pravesa, the third path, a distinct way for those of us who practice the faith and follow the faith and take to the message of our Guru. We do not need educated from other people from outside of who we are, what we are part of, or what we're not. Our Guru Sahib has given us clarity on that. But in this way, the Emperor saw Guru Nanak Dev Ji is nothing but a Hindu who had come into his city performing miracles and magic. And he said, remove Guru Nanak Dev Ji from Delhi at once. He has brought upon these events in Delhi, and we do not want these events to come into Delhi again. But who was he to remove Guru from Delhi? And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says now of the bachan that Guru Nanak Dev Ji gives to the Emperor of Delhi. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says he cannot remove us, we will come here over and over again. So Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, Guru Harkrishan Sahib Ji, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and then the Khalsa Panth many times. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, Hum var var aaye. Guru Nanak Sahib Ji gives prophecies that we will come into Delhi in many forms over and over again. And now Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says that Guru Nanak Dev Ji says that the Lodhi's time has come. This suffering that he has brought upon the saints must be brought to an end, and his reign comes to an end too. And so the Mughal powers come to be. So here one might question that, we know many of the atrocities that the Mughals had done. So why was it that the Gurus had given the Mughals Raj? In our Sikhya, there is when we undertake Gurumata Vidya, there is a simple teaching that we are often taught, which is Tapo Raj, Rajo Narak. That when one performs a certain amount of meditation and prayer and spirituality and devotion to the Lord in a very intense way, from these they obtain the blessings of becoming Raj. They obtain the blessings of becoming rulers. And when they become rulers, so Tapo Raj, from their Tapasya they become Raje, and then Rajo Naraka. As Raje, they then descend to hell by committing atrocities on the people. And this is the way of Kaljug. The one who comes to Raj commits atrocities and goes to hell, which is why many people would say in the Kaljug, who wants to be a Raja? If to be a Raja in the Kaljug is to descend into hell. And those who had done a Raj essentially came to doing Raj because of this Kamai. And it is not then upon Guru Nanak Dev Ji to deny that right upon people. It is not then for Guru Nanak Dev Ji to take that away from people who, from whatever they have done in previous lives, have earned it. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji, as the Lord manifest on this earth, as the Jyot of Nirankar on this earth, expectedly plays an important role in that time period as the dynasty of the Lodhis ends and the Mughals come to rise. And we see from the Katha as it will go on that Guru Nanak Dev Ji didn't just give Raj to Babur. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said to Babur that if you yourself commit atrocities against the people, if your descendants commit atrocities against us, our servants, and my future forms, then we will give Shahidniya, we will give that life to take the Raj back from you. And in Karni Nama, which we spoke about in the Katha of Makkah Madinah, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji went there the verses come there. Aurangzeb, the Mughal emperor at the time, says to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, Aga paida kyo kiyo, palana kiyo Gobind. That when we still had time to reign left, why did Guru Gobind Singh Ji bring the Khalsa to be Aga before its time? Palana kiyo Gobind. That Guru Gobind Singh Ji did not do good here. Guru Gobind Singh Ji did not do kind here. But the atrocities committed by those people upon the Gurus, upon the Sikhs, and upon the Pandits, the Brahmins, and the Hindus at the time, required the Gurus to step forward then and give their life. And in giving their life, reducing the Kamai of the Mughals, they were reducing the Raj of the Mughals. So this is the narrative that we find taught to us, and it is something that we can lean on in part of our understanding. Otherwise, we find ourselves questioning, why did the Gurus give Raj to another person who was going to go on to do bad? It is because ਉਹ ਆਪਦੇ ਕਰਮ ਕਮਾਏ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਦਾ ਕਰਮ ਦਾ ਫਲ ਕਮਾਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ. They reaped the fruits of their own actions and went on to do so. So ਅੱਗੇ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਦੇ ਕਰਮਾਂ ਦਾ ਫਲ ਪਾਇਆ ਸੀ. ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਪੰਥ ਸਜਾ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਰਾਜ ਪਲਟਾਇਆ.
ਅਬ ਆਈ ਬੋਲਿਓ ਤੁਮਰੋ ਕਾਲ.
Guru Nanak Dev Ji said to the Lodhis, now it is your death, now it is your end, the end of your time has come.
1878 ਸਾਲ
And now Bhai Rattan Singh Ji prophesies by giving a date. There is great mystery within this prophecy, and such things exist with many prophecies. But in this way, Guru Nanak Dev Ji says 1868 of the Bikrami time. And if we look at the AD equivalent, we're talking about the early 1800s, where we know the Khalsa came to rule, we know the Khalsa ruled over Delhi, and then we know that the Europeans came and took Delhi, and then diminishing essentially the Mughal Raj once and for all. It also talks to the time perhaps of the Indian Mutiny and the end of the Mughal Empire for that time, which was the last stand they ever made. So there are many mysteries embedded within this prophecy, and it would perhaps be a disservice to try and definitively say the date, the event, and time even that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was referring to specifically. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji then, who had Sahaswai Guru Sahib ne bachan ditta, firq ditta, sadhu da jehda bachan hunda oh atalu hunda hai. So when a saint says something, when a devotee of a god says something, then that typically comes true, because those people who have the Lord's name on their lips, when these people ask for nothing but the benefit of humanity, the benefit of society, when these people use their words to spread truth, to spread righteousness, to spread justice and the message of God, then a great power is embedded upon their tongue, such that their sayings become true. And when Guru Nanak Dev Ji had said to the Lodhi Emperor that your end has come, his end truly did come. And he met a demise. Some people say he went mad. Some people say he suffered many health problems at the time. Whatever way it came to be, his health, his mental state, his state of being, and his kingdom and empire came to unravel from this point. And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says, in this way, many Sikhs of Delhi came to emerge. Many people took to the Sikhi of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Many people saw Guru Nanak Dev Ji as the bringer of truth of that age. Many people saw Guru Nanak Dev Ji as the liberator of sadhus. Many people saw the divine ability that Guru Nanak Dev Ji had to remove one emperor and bestow another emperor through their bachan. People saw that Babur himself took to the sanctuary of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. In this way, when people see an emperor bow down to a holy man, we can begin to get a sense of the reverence that the ordinary person would have had for Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And in this way, going into Delhi, Guru Nanak Dev Ji spreads the message of Sikhi, and Sikhi begins to gain a stronghold within Delhi. So Bhai Rattan Singh Ji now concludes the history of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, where Captain Murray has now heard from Bhai Rattan Singh Ji. Who was Guru Nanak Dev Ji? How did Guru Nanak Dev Ji come to be regarded as the true sovereign of this age? How did Guru Nanak Dev Ji spread the truth? And how was it that Guru Nanak Dev Ji embellished the Gursikhs with this spirit, this belief in this power, such that they went on to become rulers and emperors of their own destiny? And at the end of this Katha, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says Captain Murray asked him a question which related to Karu Padshah. And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji now, in concluding the history of Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Panth Prakash, tells us of this doubt that Captain Murray had and how Bhai Rattan Singh Ji addressed this doubt. So Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says Captain Murray at this point has now addressed all of his sansei. Captain Murray has said that Bhai Rattan Singh Ji, all of the doubts, all of the sansei that I had, you have addressed all of these things, and I have now come to understand what you told me when you said Guru Nanak Dev Ji is the true king, Guru Nanak Dev Ji is the true sovereign, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji is the one who bestowed Raj upon the Gursikhs. I now have come to understand what you mean by that, and thank you for clearing all these doubts for me and giving me some clarity on this matter. But Captain Murray said, I definitely have one doubt that I still have left, and this relates to the Sakhi of Karu Padshah. This relates to the meeting of Guru Nanak Dev Ji with the Emperor Karu or Karun. Captain Murray says that Karun was someone who lived 1,000 or so years ago. So Karun is an emperor who descended from the Israeli tribe. and he was an emperor of Egypt who was known to have buried much treasure. There's an oft common saying that just the keys to his different treasure troves weighed as much as 300 mules, and he is known to have buried around 40 great sites at which different types of treasure was lain. However, he was eventually cursed, it is said, by the prophet Moses, and told that he would be buried and left for dead along with this treasure that he'd buried within the world. And Captain Murray says to Bhai Rattan Singh Ji, when was it then that Guru Nanak Dev Ji met with him, if he had actually lived in this world a long time ago? And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says this was the only doubt that Captain Murray had in the history of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and this doubt I cleared up for him in the following answer. There is no need to be in doubt about this story. I will bring clarity on this story for you. So, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says this story did not happen in the way that the story is told today. The Lakharis of the time, the writers of the time, have essentially written this story in a way that does not reflect what happened. So they say that it is a ghost which has become a Sakhi. It is a dialogue which has become a story when it never was. So the story of Karu Padshah is a story where we know there was a very wealthy man who had kept all of this treasure, and he was told by a holy man that you will not be able to take this treasure with you to the afterlife. And in many ways, this was a story that had become associated with Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says it was a ghost. It was a dialogue where it was common for people of the time to talk about such things, to talk about the stories of emperors, to talk about the stories of kings, to talk about the stories of meetings between kings and emperors. And in this way, the dialogue had taken place between Guru Nanak Dev Ji, but someone in essentially turning that dialogue, turning that ghost, turning that discussion into a Sakhi, into a story, essentially added elements to it, which maybe took away from the truth of what happened. And it's like if someone tells us a little bit, we go on and tell another person, we make that little bit a great deal. So someone had heard snippets of this ghost, someone had heard snippets of this dialogue, turned it into a Sakhi and made it into a great long story from that point. They joined many other things with this, as is the task of a storyteller. You get some small details, you turn it into a story and add magnificent detail to it such that it captures the imagination of the listener and reader, and this is what happened in this case. But they did not reflect on the time, they did not reflect on the period, they did not compare their sources to see who was around at that time, who wasn't around at that time, or that these stories had actually taken place centuries before. Vadghat nahi samjhiya that what is extra here, what is less here. Vadghat is a simple way in Punjabi of saying to measure something, to estimate something. If vada is where it increases, if kata is where it goes less, Vadghat karna means to measure up. And in this way, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says the storytellers of that time, they did not apply this metric upon the story. That it is very common amongst holy people that we know Guru Nanak Dev Ji spoke to the Peers, the Fakirs, the Siddhs, the Hindu holy man and the Muslim holy man. And in speaking to all of these people, Guru Nanak Dev Ji would have shared many stories. They would have shared stories back and forth with one another, and some of these stories would have merged with the Shabads where even the Gurus are telling a Sakhi and the Gurus are telling that Sakhi through the Shabad. So it is one of the important reasons why, as has been repeated previously, in trying to understand Gurbani, in trying to understand Ityas, there is a way that people do this. That way is to first do Santhya of Gurbani, to learn Gurbani that is Shuddh. Then it is to learn the Siddha Arth of Gurbani, the simple meanings and translations of Gurbani. And then it is start to trying to understand the history that goes with those Shabads, the Vantriv Arth that goes with those Shabads, the discrepancies between different understandings of different Shabad emerging from different traditions at different time, such that one is able to discern these for within themselves and then explain these to other people. This measurement is really important, but if we just hear something and then repeat that something and add on whatever we believe to that, then we lose a great amount of truth. That someone, when writing about this ghost, writing about this dialogue, essentially wrote about it in a way that wasn't correct. They turned this ghost into a sakhi. This dialogue, this conversation was turned into a story. And even this storytelling is an important part of every tradition. And we can think of history in the way that we understand history as this event happened, that event happened, in a very chronological way with a study associated to it. But storytelling is something that has existed throughout history and many ancient civilizations. And within stories even within stories, a great amount of truths are buried, what we might call meta-truths, what we might call truths which are greater than the story themselves. So storytelling is a tradition within itself. Storytelling is a means of passing on valuable lessons to future generations. In this instance, the lesson is all this money that you're accumulating will account for nothing when you're dead. That is the essence here. That is the story here. That is the truth here within it. But when we take these dialogues, when we take these lessons, when we try to encapsulate these conversations between the saints and add to it a story form, then an aspect of truth with a small t, because it is not the ultimate message, it is the chronological, the historian, the one with scientific measure trying to determine when did this happen, did this actually happen, who's applying a sense of empirical study to it, which is important as well. In that account, we see discrepancies, but if we look at the account of storytelling and the purpose of it, then it is very clear why this is done as well. But Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says that some Murak who then writes these sakhis, some foolish person who does not discern these sakhis, and this happens, sometimes you hear people, sometimes people hear a story and they want to reshare that story, but they've never actually understood the story for themselves, and Bhai Rattan Singh Ji says that people who do this are foolish. And some foolish person would have gone and told his friends this story. And hearing the story from that person, these people would have added much of their own context and understanding to the story, and it grows greatly. It is like and Bhai Rattan Singh Ji uses metaphors which kind of lose their meaning in English, but none the way they translate into when people mistake a fallen dried beehive as the fallen moon. When if someone was to poetically say when a beehive falls, that the moon has fallen, for someone to interpret that literally and say that the moon has fallen. Or when one of these sticks that we use to beat oil seeds, if someone was to say that this is what God himself uses when applying surma, when applying eyeliner to their eyelashes, these types of sayings that people say as metaphors, and then others go on to take quite literally. These are the examples that Bhai Rattan Singh Ji gives us. And Bhai Rattan Singh Ji tells us, in fact, we know that a great amount of time had passed between the Emperor coming and Guru Nanak Dev Ji's coming on this earth, that there is a great amount of centuries that come in between this time period. And the Karu Emperor, who had accumulated 40 great deposits of wealth of gold buried into this ground, was a story that many people had shared. It is one of these stories that travelled throughout the lands. It is one of these stories because it is a very simple message. It doesn't matter how much money you have in your bank account. It doesn't matter how much gold you may have in your family heirlooms. None of it is going to go with you. None of it is going to go with your children. None of it is going to go with your grandchildren. None of it is going to go anywhere. And if you're going to kill people or commit atrocities or be deceitful or lie to people or put yourself even through a great amount of punishment to accumulate this and then bury this in the ground or bury this in a bank account or bury this somewhere where then it is of no use to anyone, doing neither any service to you or other people, eventually you go. So the lesson is very important. Do not devote your life to the accumulation of material wealth. Do not devote your life to pursuing money. There is much more to life to this, and all of us are going to die, and when we die, that money is not going to account for anything.
कही भव्य यो बात
That Guru Nanak Dev Ji would have had this dialogue with someone. Guru Nanak Dev Ji would have had this conversation with someone. This is a very ordinary thing that we can expect had happened at that time.
सो चाली गंज जोड़ के पयो तो खाली जात
That having accumulated all of this wealth and all of this money, he went leaving it all behind. And if we ever want to explain to someone or even understand for ourselves how important is money, how important is wealth, yes, Sikhi does not advocate poverty. Sikhi does not advocate we remain poor and have no assets and wealth. Maharaj says that daulat gujran, that money is what we have to travel through this world. We need money to get by, to buy food. We need money to buy clothes. We need money to buy a house. We need money to educate our children. We need all of these things. It serves a purpose. It serves a purpose, but sometimes we lose sense of what that purpose is and become embellished just within the pursuit and accumulation of that thing. And in this way, we go far beyond often what we actually need. And in doing so, sometimes even we take for others, or we do bad things. We lose our faith, we lose our dignity, we lose our honor, accumulating these things. And this Sakhi, this story, is a very, very easy way of bringing that truth home.
एक अमर पिकंबर संत हो तो मिल उस करियो निहाद.
And there was a sant by the name of Amar, and Amar had met with the man accumulating all of this wealth, and he is the one who explained this message to him and made him nihal, who made him realize this. Imagine your whole life you've been accumulating wealth, and then a great saint comes to you and enlightens you to vi tu ta maya de piche bhajya firda hai, ine tere naal nahi jana. The penny drops, and he becomes at that point enlightened more than he was before that point, and he sees the truth of his life, of what he's been doing, and what a waste all of this has been. And as painful as that moment is, it is also very liberating. And instead, someone who was not perhaps such a wise person, instead of understanding how this story was told, the context within which it was told, the dialogue, the ghost between Guru Nanak Dev Ji and whichever persons Guru Nanak Dev Ji had at the time, where this story was used as an example to explain, someone hearing the story from there and then hearing the story from there and adding to it, essentially turned it into a story within itself. So here concludes the history of Guru Nanak Dev Ji as written in Pant Prakash. I repeat here that again, the history of Guru Nanak Dev Ji in Pant Prakash is a very short form of the history of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. It is there just to provide a platform for us to, in just 1 or 2 episodes, cover the history of the rest of the Gurus before coming on to the history of the Khalsa Panth, why the Khalsa Panth was created and how the Khalsa Panth grew, the battles that the Khalsa Panth had. So it is a stepping stone for us to understand that Guru Nanak Dev Ji spread the message through this world. It is a stepping stone for us to understand that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was the bringer of truth into this world. It provides us a basis of understanding how our faith, how our religion, how our dharam begins to emerge as one of many other schools of thought, as one of many other religions at that time, but in fact one which grew and continues to grow to where we are today. So my ardas to Guru Sahib Ji is that those who have listened to this katha, those who will listen to this katha, that it inspires for us a greater love for Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Suno Sakhi Man Jap Pyar. If listening to these stories, love arises within our mind, and through that love, it takes us to the path of Jap, it takes us to the path of Nam, then our listening has been fruitful. If we are listening in one ear and out the other ear, if we are listening and getting embellished within debates, if we are listening and only finding more trouble within our own mind, then we must ask the question of what are we trying to achieve from Katha? Because in Katha, the Katha cannot be told. A Katha kahani pad nirbani. Ko virla gurmukh bujai. When we speak of God, when we speak of God's greatness, and we speak of the Guru, it is not able for someone to do any type of justice to that. So, in essence, the Katha is actually within yourself. It is something that you realize, hold on, there is much more depth to what is being said here. All that is happening is someone is using written word in the form of Bhai Rattan Singh, spoken word in the form of whoever is doing katha. They're doing these things to try and point you towards something. They are indicating that there is something beyond. There is something more for you to discover, for you to learn, that will take you towards God. And in this way, essentially, the katha is to be heard within yourself. The katha is to be experienced within yourself, realizing that the whole purpose of this is to go on an inward journey within yourself towards realization. So may the katha of Guru Nanak Dev Ji bless all those who have heard it and will continue to hear it. May it direct you towards trying to understand Guru Nanak Dev Ji's katha more, to engaging with Nanak Prakash, engaging with the Janam Sakhis, engaging with the Bani Siddh Gosht. If you've listened to the katha thus far and have never heard the Bani Siddh Gosht, read the Bani or Siddh Gosht, inna nu padho, because these were part of the daily Nitanam of Gursikhs and Panjabani, where every day Gursikhs would read Siddh Gosht and refresh themselves upon the conversations that Guru Nanak Dev Ji had with the Siddhs. This is written in a Gurbani that Gursikhs read every day, and instead for us, we maybe just hear passing reference to this in katha or in storytelling after many, many years. So this tells us where Gursikhs at the time were, where we are today, and maybe gives us some sense of the direction that we can go in. We may not be able to replicate how great those Gursikhs were, but there are certainly some practices from their life, Sakhiya, Bani, Santhya, Panjbani, Parni, Sunani, Santhya karo at least. Santhya karo at least. This is the essence of, if we do not do Santhya, we will not be able to understand Guru Nanak Dev Ji's message by ourselves ever, because we will never be able to read it in the correct form, let alone translate it. And this is very important. So as the katha goes on, Bhai Rattan Singh Ji in just 1 or 2 episodes will talk briefly from Guru Nanak Dev Ji through to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and then from there on to the Khalsa Panth. So for the katha that has happened thus far, for all the many mistakes that have been made in this katha, may the Sangat bless us, forgive us. May Guru Sahib Ji continue to guide and direct us and continue this katha of Panth Prakash as per the Maryada of katha. Just reading now the last 2 verses, we will do Samadhi.
Ik amar pikambar sant hoto mil us karyo nihag Mooran ghosat lik kahi kari so babe naal.
Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh. Jakare ke jave nialo jave, Sahib Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji de charna nu pave. Sat Sri Akal. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.